Hi there. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about resistance and anger with the physical body. This is something that I can relate to very much, and it's come up in almost every one of my grief counseling sessions with other people, and now I'm experientially having it for myself. One thing that I recognize in this process that we refer to as death is there's many human elements and emotions that go along with this. Of course, there's the normal human grief that happens, that longing or missing to touch the physical person again, the longing and desire to pick up the phone and hear their voice and know that you can connect with them even if they're on the other side of the world. All of that is now shifted because obviously they're not in the physicality anymore. But there's something else that happens, another element that happens behind all of this that most of us are not willing to look at. And part of that may be that we're just not conscious of it. But once it's brought to the surface, it's often very tangible and people can experience it. I know I can myself. When someone that we are close to transitions, as I mentioned, there's all those other human factors that are going on, but there's another layer of this that's going on as well. And that is the part of this self, the soul, and the human body recognizing that there's a longing to return to the non-physical. I personally experienced this over the last few days. There is no desire to die. It's nothing like that. I love life. I love everything about life. I love the beauty of it, the smells, the tastes, the touches. I have no desire to leave this experience any earlier than is intended for me. I intend to enjoy every part of this, and yet there is this element that longs to be outside of the physical body, to lose the restraint of being in this physical vehicle, and just have the freedom to float and fly and experience without the density of this body. And yet there's always a gratitude for the body. So there's this dichotomy that's constantly going on. I love this body, I want to be out of this body. I love this body, I want to be out of this body. And that is forever entwined in this experience known as Kelly. I cannot speak for anyone else but myself. As I say in all of my videos, this is my journey that I'm sharing, and you may not relate to this, and that's okay. I'm not here to be right. There is no right and wrong. We can have extremely polar opposite views on this and both be absolutely perfectly dead on. So one of the things that I've come to realize for myself is when a suffering point is brought to the surface. So the suffering point for me was, I don't want to be in this physical body anymore. Once that comes to the surface, again, me not creating the thought of it at all, because we don't create our thoughts. Once there's an awareness that that thought is visibly, actively moving about in my experience, and I allow it to be at the surface and be with it and feel it, there's nothing felt there. There's no anger or rage that was there when I first spotted it. It's almost like this elusive thing, and once you see it, you're so angry that it's there, and then you can love it and foster it and just allow it to be there. No attachment to it, recognizing that it is never you. I am never that thought. I never was. I never was the thought that I don't want to be in this physical vessel. That thought, just like raindrops, enter my experience on its own. Just show up, just arise. I don't create the thoughts. I can recognize them and I can be with them, but they are never me. The suffering element that comes in around thoughts is that I am them, that I can control having those thoughts. I shouldn't have these thoughts. That's not true. I'm not bringing the thoughts into my experience. All I can do is look at how I'm responding to the thoughts. In one of my videos, I talked about a boulder falling through the roof and how I could respond to that. I could be arguing with the reality that that boulder's fallen through the roof, or I can just simply say, wow, there it is. Certainly there's a human emotion behind it of rage. How could that have happened? Why did that happen? Whatever. And maybe that needs to happen. And maybe not. Maybe it's just simply seeing the boulder and saying, wow, there's a boulder in the middle of my living room. We then put labels on top of these thoughts. Labels on top of thoughts around death. You know, it's why there's stigmas about certain things. 10 years ago, I can't remember the name of the movie where it came out around the same time as 16 Candles with that same pack rat of kids. I'm sure you guys will message me who it is. I can't think of it right now, but they were sitting at the dinner table and someone started to talk about cancer. And then they went around the table and someone said, oh yeah, did you hear she's dating that man and he's on drugs? Like there were these stigmas about things that you could not discuss, and so they were whispered and they were hushed. And I find that so hilarious. I find it so hilarious that we are still doing this. We're still doing this. To me, there's no stigma on death because there is no death. There is no end. I'm an eternal being. The stigma is around the thought that death should not happen, or that it's bad, or what a horrible thing, or any of that. That's where the stigma is. The stigma around someone leaving their physical body is something to be rejoiced, a celebration of their life and their journey that's carried forward. And yes, the human element still wants to grieve and suffer the loss of that human physicality, and yet there's that dichotomy. I want to celebrate and I want to enrapture in the joy that you're moving on to. And then that behind that, and there's a part of me that wishes that for myself. There's a part of me that is envious. There's a part of me that remembers that and wants to return to that too. We return to the non-physical exactly when we're intended to. Not a moment sooner or a moment later. We have a choice to be in this earthly experience, resisting and regretting that we're still here, resisting and regretting that we have these experiences of no body and we wish they were our entire experience, and yet all that does is create suffering in this now moment. It's saying I want something that isn't here. Right now, what is here, Kelly is in a physical body. Kelly walks. She walks beautifully. She's got a healthy physical body. What more could be than joy for that, gratitude for that, and a knowing that there is a human part and a soul part that wishes it to be something different, and letting that be in my awareness, letting it dance around without attachment to it or anger at it. If it is here, I'm going to love it, even if I don't like it. I'm just going to love it. So I wanted to share that today, just kind of another yet layer of this onion that's peeling in the experience known as Kelly. The joy of life, the joy of this experience, although it may feel dense and heavy at times, is such to be grasped at and loved and really embraced and not taken for granted and not pushed aside. Absolutely, you're going to do whatever you're going to do because this is scripted, and if you have a day where you don't get out of bed, don't even beat yourself up about that, because that is what is intended. Love what's arising here in this moment, even if it doesn't look the way you expect it to. Until next time, many hugs and kisses to you all.